Hi, this is Ray Stendhal, and I'm joined with Judy Williamson from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. If you watched our last episode, it was all about the topic of revenge, and this video is all about the topic of hate. And Napoleon Hill talked about both hate and revenge together, and we see there's certainly a difference between the two, and we want to highlight some of the differences and help you realize how you can take the emotion of hate and turn it around to be more productive, happier, and ultimately healthier. So Judy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. It's nice to see you again, Ray, and I'm very happy to continue this series of talks that we're doing. It gives me an insight into how you think, and also I hope we can share some of our ideas with our listeners and people that watch these videos.
Absolutely. We got quite a lot of positive feedback. So if you're watching this video and you've provided some feedback to us, thanks so much. And if you haven't, please feel free and comment and share and let us know what you think, because we're really trying something new here, and we believe that this will add a lot of value to you. So our topic today is all about hate. Well, Judy, when we think about the topic of hate, I mean, each of us have our own way of looking at it. Share with me what you consider hate and what it really is, and I'll share some of my ideas as well.
Hate is obviously, for me, one of the ultimate negative mental attitudes. You know, it's an attitude that positions us in the wrong direction entirely, and as we go down that journey, that road toward hate, toward revenge, toward whatever retaliatory acts we're going to try to put on other people due to our emotional feeling toward them, we're digressing from our purpose. And our purpose in life is not to hate, not to victimize other people, but to actually achieve self-actualization, which is another one of the motives that'll be coming up. But in using hate, I think many people actually begin that downward spiral. And, you know, we talked a little bit about that before, but that spiral is not going to lead you to your ultimate destination, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree with you absolutely. Hate is the ultimate negative mental attitude, and I think that it comes from a place of inflicting pain and suffering on others. And as we really think about hate and how it manifests itself, it starts with a negative mental attitude, but it quickly spirals into this very disastrous situation, because every action has a corresponding reaction. So if I take a negative action, I'm going to get a negative reaction or a negative effect based on the law of cause and effect. And as this continues to spiral down, what's really going to happen? Well, ultimately this spiral, let's call it a death spiral, as if you think of an airplane falling to the ground, is really going to lead to more stress. This more stress is going to lead to inflammation at a physical level within your body, which leads to disease, which, if you look at the word and the linguistics of the word disease, it's dis-ease. You're not at ease with yourself. And not to mention all of the negativity and how that relates to your mental health, your emotional health. So absolutely agree with you. It's a deviation from being on purpose, and has such grave impacts.
You're absolutely right.
So I was,
recently, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but recently I was at the Art Institute in Chicago, and just kind of walking through the different rooms and the different paintings, I encountered one that was striking. And it was a painting, an oil painting of the picture of Dorian Gray. And Dorian Gray was a character in one of Oscar Wilde's novels. I don't know if you've ever read that story. But he traded his soul. He gave his soul to the devil in order to keep himself young in appearance, and interiorly all the hateful emotions went inside of him. And this artist, I've forgotten the name, but I'm sure somebody knows it, painted the interior of Dorian Gray, the negativity, the ugliness. It was grotesque. And I just looked at him, oh, you know, if that's ugliness is inside of you, how could you have a beautiful persona on the outside? Mm-hmm. That's a question. If you haven't read that book, it's a short one. You need to read it.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. And just to your point, I mean, often our outer world is really a reflection of our inner world. So Absolutely. If we are a mess on the inside, our relationships, our business, our way we interact with others, it's just all a mess on the outside. So as I was thinking about this, I'm sure the listeners and the viewers of this video would be interested to understand, how can they turn around this terrible emotion of hate and make it productive. And as I was thinking about this, I came up with a few steps. I'd love your feedback on this, Judy. The first step really is embracing objective reality. Step number one is you have to understand what is it that you're dealing with and be very clear about what it is in objective terms, not using basically subjective terms where you position things against somebody else. Like, really, what is the situation at hand? Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is taking a step back and taking a look at what is your purpose? What is your definite chief aim, as Napoleon Hill talks about? Where are you really going? What is it that you're doing to get the fulfillment, the happiness, the joy, and to really be your authentic self as you move forward on your journey through life? So what is that purpose? Mm-hmm. And I think for most people, as they start to analyze what it is that they are objectively facing, and they take a look at what their purpose is, this delta is going to show them that the emotions that they feel and the hate inside of them is not conducive to leading that purpose-filled life. So as you logically deduce that it's not aligned with where you really want to go, it starts to make it, I think, the process a little bit easier to release this energy. And as you release this energy, you release the stress in your life, and you ultimately become more at ease, as we talked about earlier on in the video. And as a result of doing that, I think the next critical step is to get productive. Get busy doing what it is that you're on purpose doing. And soon, I think that through the act of getting busy, being productive, the revenge and the hate and all these negative feelings will fade into the background, and you will remember again what it is that you really need to focus on. And I think that's one way of turning things around. Now, if someone doesn't have that definite purpose, Judy, then they certainly have a lot of homework to do, and that's a critical step. But I see it as these 5 steps. What do you think?
Well, I kind of agree with you. And as you were talking, I was thinking about what Dr. Judy Arce told me recently. She was rooming with another friend of mine, and the lady began to fluff the pillows on the bed. And then before long, Judy noticed that she wasn't just fluffing the pillows, she was beating the pillows, pounding her fist into them. And this went on for a little while, and Judy said, well, I was starting to get a little frightened. And then she said, after all it was said and over with, she said to her friend, do you feel better now? And the friend said, yes, I do. So obviously she was going through some interior thing with those pillows that she was interacting with. And in that method, in that way, she was repurposing her hate. She was dissolving it, as you said. And I think we have to find those ways to dissolve our hate, whether it's a physical activity or a purpose in our lives. Mm-hmm. But the primary question is, what do I want to achieve? And is this hate, this emotion, bringing me closer or further away from my goal? And if the response is further away, then we need to give it up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a great point. And just to that end, we all can become fitter and healthier. So why not take all that negative energy and emotion and channel it into doing, I don't know, sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks, beating a punching bag, or what you have access to. And in the process of getting yourself tired, you, in the end, are increasing your heart rate and ultimately helping your health and your vitality.
That's right. You know, one of my favorite quotes by Napoleon Hill, even though it doesn't directly say hate, it can imply it. He says, you know, when he's talking about opinions, he says, opinions are the cheapest commodity on earth. Everybody has them. And oftentimes opinions lead into hateful discussions where certain sides are chosen, you know, the opposite or the side that's akin to how you believe. But when we take sides, we begin to separate. And when we separate, we're going to be taking stances. And stances can lead to political issues and dilemmas. And then ultimately we get to that, I don't believe what you say, I don't believe what you say, and it can generate into hatred. And, you know, when you think about issues that are happening worldwide, you know, they don't start out as extreme hatred, but they do become that because people take their individual stance, and eventually they can't meet in the middle. They can't come together. So I think if we look for ways to dissolve some of that intensity, like you said, we can begin to work our way into mutual agreement. Maybe not love, like you mentioned before when we were talking, but maybe understanding, and then that is a step toward love.
I see what you're saying, and just to add to it, I mean, if we think about the ultimate expression, as mentioned in this Ezine, of hate, it's really violence. I mean, and physical violence. Yes. And we just think about all the repercussions to yourself and to the person who's on the receiving end of the violence. And as we think about this, how it escalates up, even violence between countries, and you ultimately have wars and all kinds of challenges like that. So it all really stems from being able to control and understand our emotions and repurpose them. So yeah, great. So just in terms of wrapping up, I hope all of you have really enjoyed this segment. We enjoyed making it for you. If you found this video useful, what I want you to do is click forward on your email and send it to a few people that you believe could really benefit from what this newsletter has to offer and what this new video series has to offer, and really helping you take control of your life to lead the best and most fulfilled life that you can. So this is Ray Stendel, joined with Judy Williamson, wishing you the best, and stay tuned for our next exciting episode.
Thank you, Ray.